Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of my first Pokemon Yellow Gen 1 Nuzlocke. My gaming name is Infamous OG1973. I go by Infamous for short. I am on YouTube, Discord, Minds.com, and just recently I started a Guilded account on YouTube and Discord. I have a channel called Gaming with Infamous on Minds.com. I go by my regular name. I also have a Discord channel that goes by my regular name, or my real name, that's Roger Hansen. If you guys want to check me out, feel free to do so. Like I said, I have a Guilded account. I'm not sure if it goes under Roger Hansen or Gaming with Infamous. I believe it's Gaming with Infamous. If you guys want to find that, you're more than happy to join there too. I'm doing this Nuzlocke with Team Retro through Nostalgic Gaming Retro on YouTube, Discord, and here recently on Twitter. I'm not sure what all the information is on Twitter, but if you guys want to check that out, feel free to do so. Nostalgia Gaming on Discord is pretty cool. You can get into stuff like this, what I'm doing right now, do competitions and challenges and stuff like that, and collaborating with other people who play like-minded games, which is retro games. I find it pretty enjoyable. To be honest, this is one of the only reasons why I started doing YouTube. I mean, I enjoy the fact that I'm working with other people and we're doing stuff together on here, networking, stuff like that. So for me personally, I enjoy it. Now they also have a YouTube channel called Nostalgia Gaming Retro. You might want to check that out. It's got a lot of the stuff that's being put out by Nostalgia Gaming, or Rapid, that's what I usually call them on Discord. Rapid Glitch. Now, before I get into talking about the game, I'm going to do like I usually do. I'm going to go over the point system and the rules that are put out by Nostalgia Gaming. They do things a little different than most other Nuzlocke Nuzlocke challenges. So let me go ahead and start out. At the beginning of the game, you start with 151 Nuzlocke points. Now, when you battle your rival, which is the professor's grandson, at the beginning of the Nuzlocke challenge, you only lose 1 point, and that's called the sympathy rule. And it's the only place in the Nuzlocke where you get that sympathy rule, but the rest of them you lose more points. Now, for not naming every Pokemon, it'll cost you 5 points for each Pokemon that you don't name. Now, if you revive a Pokemon, that's going to cost you 25 points each. If you black out, that's going to cost you 50 Nuzlocke points each time, and you have to start over, and all members of your party suffer what's called a permadeath. Now, with me, I put my permadeaths in the computer systems at the Poke Centers, and when I do that, or the first time I did that, I made a mistake. Okay, first off, and I'm gonna remind you guys of this because it's very important. Remember not to heal your Pokemon before placing them in the computer as a permadeath, because if you do that, you're going to get a 25 point loss for reviving Pokemons, because it costs 25 Nuzlocke points for reviving a Pokemon, and that's for each Pokemon. So don't do that. If you put permadeaths in the computer, put them in with just their bars empty, and don't heal them first. Okay, now if you black out, like I said, it's 50 points for each time, and you have to start all over, and your Pokemon suffers from a permadeath. Now, using health potions or health items will cost you 20 points each. It costs points to use healing items, but also understand that the Poke Center doesn't cost anything, so use the Poke Centers as much as, or Poke Centers as much as you wish. It's free. Now, if the Pokemon faints, that costs you 10 points, and 10 points each time they faint, and that Pokemon suffers the permadeath. Now, one Pokemon per area, like in most Nuzlockes, and if you catch another Pokemon in that same area, you have to release it, and the only way to release a Pokemon is at the Poke Center. So until you get to the Poke Center and you release that Pokemon, then you have to avoid fighting wild Pokemon. Okay, so if you run into a Pokemon and they want to fight you, then you have to run. That's basically all you do in that situation. Now, if they make it to where you can't run, what I suggest is trying it a second time, or maybe even a third time with the same Pokemon, and eventually they'll let you go. But if that doesn't work, then just switch from that Pokemon to another one, and that works all the time. So that's a good suggestion for doing that. So when you capture 2 of them to release the other one, you need to not fight a Pokemon until you do that, and run from them. Now, at one time I used to say the trainer can capture the second one, they get to choose between them. That's not true. So I found that out with Rapid, that's not true. You can't, you have to release the second one. But you can keep gift Pokemons and capture Pokemon in the same area. So if you capture a Pokemon in a certain area and you know that a gift Pokemon's there, you can go ahead and get that one. All the Pokemon are acceptable. Now, with all that said, the best I can say is build a team, be smart, do your research, find out which Pokemon you want to use before you do this Nuzlocke, and go from there. Figure out which ones would be the best to defeat Brock's gym, and then after that, you know, kind of expand on it if you want to. Just do research on the game, get on YouTube, find other players that have played the Nuzlocke, and see what you want to do and where you want to go. Now, to beat a gym leader, it earns you 25 points, or Nuzlocke points, and it's the only way to add points to your Nuzlocke points. There's no other way of doing that. The rest of it is you losing Nuzlocke points. And I used to say, you know, slow down and farm for XP, but I'm not going to say that anymore, because I found that just going through and fighting trainers gives you just around the same amount of XP, so I just don't see it as being, you know, productive as much as what I thought it would be when I first started. And like on these Nuzlockes, Nostalgia allows me to do you know, small glitches, which you can do that, but I've found at the beginning too that like doing glitches takes just as much time as what it would be to just play the game and go through the game and do your best, you know. So you can do small glitches, but just for me personally, I just don't see very much of the purpose of doing that. So that will be all that I have to go through when it comes to the rules. Now I have Kadabra, Magnetron, Bubblegum, Lactose, Dinobot, and Come of Summon. Now, this is where I actually, things start really picking up at this point. I have to come to this city. This is the one that I forgot, and I have to defeat Team Rocket before I can go to the final gym, I believe. I'd made it to the gym, and the doors were still locked, and then when I got there I found out that I had missed a city. And the only thing that I didn't catch on to, well, there was a couple things I didn't catch on to, was the water. Kept going to those guards. They kept saying that they were thirsty. And I never realized that all I had to do was get a cup of water for them, bring it back to one of them, and I could go into this city. So finally, after going around the map to every other city, I finally figured out I needed to go get some water and give them some water, and then come here and defeat Team Rocket here, and then go back to the last gym and defeat them there too. Which I guess that's kind of a spoiler. But you know what, I really don't like avoiding spoilers because I just like playing the game, and that's basically it. So if you really don't know at this point that who the final boss is, then I'm sorry, you know, not only for the fact that I may have told you who the final boss is, but also for the fact that you don't realize who the final boss is. So, but we are in the final stages of this, and I'm really surprised by the outcome. I will let you know though that I am messing up here. Like, for one thing, I've got the Psy beam there, and I got rid of the other Psy weapon that I should have kept. In the end, that comes back to bite me, because like, you only get a certain amount of times that you can use it before it runs out, and that's one thing that I didn't anticipate. So I shouldn't have gotten rid of that. I know I probably should have held off until the next episode to say that, but I think it's fair enough to say it now. And then the second mistake I made was I didn't work on my other Pokemon. Like, I could have really done good with a glitch if I would have worked on him and got him up into the levels like I did with the Kadabra. So that's something that I'm going to have to remember for later Nuzlockes. Out of the two Pokemon that I've used, I would say that Kadabra and Glitch was the two that really showed a lot of promise, even though I do have to say Lightbulb has really shown his worth. But it gets monotonous with him too, because you go through and then there's like missed attacks and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's a lot of attacks that don't affect him, so it's kind of a balance there. But he really has shown his worth. I'm really surprised with all of them, to be honest. Out of all of them, Lightbulb is the only one that survived out of my original team. This whole game has turned out to be more amazing to me than as I'm sitting and I was playing it. I was just like, oh man, this is really, it changed my whole attitude about it. I used to pick on my nephews all the time because they were obsessed with the card game, and now I'm like, man, this is actually a pretty good game. The video game, I don't think I'm ever going to play the card game. I can't bring myself to that. bad enough that I'm a LARPer. I like to LARP. See, I learned a new word. Not one of those pervert LARPs. I'm like a LARPer for D&D and stuff like that too, so just so you guys know. Even though I am a pervert in private, I like to perv out. I just started playing House Party. That is like one of the most underrated video games I've ever seen in my entire life. I mean, yeah, it's adult themed, it's adult content, but it's also funny as heck, dude. I haven't stopped busted up laughing playing that game. It is just insane. The people who developed that game, if they came out with a concept that wasn't adult themed, I think they would probably just explode. People would play it. Well, enough with all that. And by the way, just so, since I discussed it and everything, by the way, I just want to say to anybody who's under the age of 18, that is not your game. Do not play House Party. Don't ask your parents for permission, because it's a game that you should not be playing. So now I've got 61 Nuzlocke points, which at this point I didn't even know I had that. I thought I might have been around like 15, maybe 20 Nuzlocke points, but apparently I'm not. And see, this is the reason why I like the idea of Nostalgia going through and doing the point systems for me, because I could be wrong, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I feel more comfortable with the idea that another person is doing the score. And it's been pointed out to me by a few other people that, you know, a lot of people do their Nuzlockes and they score themselves, but it just seems like it's cheating. It's dirty. Now I'm in a hard spot. This is one of the hard spots I'm talking about. Okay, I think I had already used up all of my Psy Laser. So now I've got to use these other Pokemon, and they are lower level. Which, don't get me wrong, Come Up Summon, he's level 30, and this is a level 29. But these mucks, they're not anything to play around with. I mean, they're pretty tough. He can take me out with a one shot. I believe that's what happened with Glitch. One of them, no, it happened with Dinobot in the last video. Hit me with that pollution stuff. So I'm reaching my 20-minute part. This is me still going through the building, and once I get through this building, then I will be able to go for the boss, I believe, at the gym. And then from there I can go back to the last gym and fight the main last boss. But I'm gonna let you guys enjoy the video, and I'm not gonna talk anymore.